the guy who actually did beat Mark Zuckerberg, the guy we've been talking about, the guy we've been talking around this whole time, who is he?
His name's Jeff Ibrahim. He's 41, and he works at Kaiser Oakland at a hospital, and he works in the storeroom, right? So what he does, he sort of orders parts. He said he moves pallets. He's in the union, and he works from 4 a.m. to about 2 p.m. So, like this is like in the Bay Area, it's like, about as close to sort of typical union guy as you get, right? Around last year, I would say he said around Thanksgiving, his 9-year-old son, Jameson, got a little bit bored with the karate that he was taking.
I can relate
to try
to
something
Jameson.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so Jameson and Jeff decided they would try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was a gym nearby, and they went in, and Jameson really took to it. And Jeff, because he wanted to spend time with Jameson, this is a great way for them to spend time together, just started getting into it too.
All right, so just to recap Jeff's place in this ecosystem, Jeff is a dad, a union guy, works the graveyard shift at a hospital. He is the one who finds himself in this tournament competing against Mark Zuckerberg. How does he find himself in that specific situation? That dude fighting, again, arguably the most powerful person on earth.
The reason why he was down there was because his kid was competing, right? Jameson was in a tournament, and he's like, well, I'm down here. I might as well just enter it myself. And so it's a 4-person tournament. There are 4 entrants. He doesn't know who the other 3 entrants are. And so in his first match, he wrestles, or he's up against some dude, and he beats him, right? And he's like pumped about it, right? And then he's like, all right, it's a 4-person tournament. Now I'm in the finals. Who am I going to fight in the finals? And that's when the doors open, and a man about his size wearing an N95 mask, sort of with a small entourage, walks through the doors.
And Jeff's response upon seeing this literally masked man is what?
He says,
this guy walks into the gym with a hat on and an N95 mask. And I swear, I thought this guy was dying. I thought this guy just wanted to do jiu-jitsu on his final days.
Wait, why?
I'm like, dude, who walks in here with with a mask on? And it's like, man, maybe he's really sick.
Is he dying? Like, is this his Make-A-Wish wish is to like be in a wrestling match?
So Jeff thinks, okay, this is a man using his last breath on an MMA fight. And at what point does he realize that this man is not on his deathbed? This man is f***ing Mark. It's Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, there's like a rustle through the crowd, right? And people start whispering about it.
All of a sudden, you just hear everyone like, it's meta. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And I look, hey, it's that guy with a mask on. I was like, yeah, he does look like Mark Zuckerberg. Why would he be here, though? And then I started thinking about it. I was like, I remember he was on Joe Rogan. He was talking about how he's really into MMA.
From the very first session that I did, like 5 minutes in, I was like, where has this been my whole life?
At some point, I think somebody comes up to him and says, like, you're going to fight Mark Zuckerberg. And he's like, what? And then Mark Zuckerberg takes off his mask, right? Because they're about to start, and then introduces himself, and they shake hands. And, like Jeff's description of it was that he was like totally cool and respectful and was serious, right? And that it wasn't like he had come with some gigantic entourage and like somebody blew an air horn and like there was a DJ being like, here's the Zuck, or something like he didn't have walkout music, right?
Right, as a Secret Service is like chloroforming people who look suspicious, like in the stands.
Exactly. No, I think that it was basically about as normal as it can be if you are one of the most famous people in the world.
So Jeff's feeling, like his internal feeling as this is all sinking in terms of like anxiety level now because he's realizing this is what?
Well, yeah, I probed him quite a bit about this because I kind of wanted him to say, like, basically, like, let's start the revolution, right? But he was much more reasonable than that. And he said the thing that kept going through my mind was, don't become a meme. Don't become a meme. If you lose, you're going to be a meme. Were you scared going in?
Nervous because knowing that I got to fight one of the richest men in the world. And the whole time I'm like, I can't lose because I'm about to be a meme the next day if I lose. Next thing you know, tell us to get on the mat. It's like, all right, let's go. I think we gave a little fist bump. But the whole time I'm thinking, it's like, I cannot lose against this guy.
There's ways in which you can just become a massive meme, and I don't think there's any bigger shortcut than getting choked out by Mark Zuckerberg.
So Jeff understandably fears being imprisoned in the Hall of Memes for all time. But what's funny about this is that what happens next does go extraordinarily viral, except that it's a different kind of thing. It becomes this unsolved sort of a mystery, which is, again, a huge thing I've been wanting to find out about with you. So what the happened in this match?
So there's video of it that Jeff's wife took, right? And it's a little bit hard to tell from the video. But, Zuckerberg's kind of moving around, Jeff's moving around, and then they start grappling.
The whole fight probably lasted around 2.5 minutes. Immediately after the referee told us to fight, we're circling around each other. Next thing you know, Mark grabs onto my gi, pulls me down into him, which is called pulling guard. From there, in that position, he's on the bottom and he has his legs wrapped around me.
Jeff says he's almost coming out of his shirt because Mark is grabbing him so hard. And that after a certain amount of time, Mark is trying different types of things, and then Jeff finally locks in a choke.
I end up sneaking my left arm underneath his head. And with my fingers, I end up grabbing the inside of my sleeve on my right arm. I end up hitting what's called an Ezekiel choke on him. So after I got the choke set up, what I did was my knuckles were going into the side of his neck. I'm literally just trying to hit his jugular and just cut off any blood flow to his head. And I swear, I could have been in that position for 10 minutes. I was just on him. All my weight is just down on his neck. His face, when you're in that type of position, anytime someone's choking you, of course, your face is going to turn a different color. His natural instinct was to try and choke me back. But in that type of position that he was in, it wasn't working for him. His legs were wrapped around me like this. At one point, they went just limp like that for a few seconds. Next thing you know, I hear the referee just say, stop. I let go. We both get up and we just have this confused look on both of our faces. I couldn't really understand what the referee was telling him. And all of a sudden, referee walks over to me and raises my hand. And I'm still confused. And Mark comes up to me and is like, I didn't tap, did I? I'm like, no, he didn't tap. And I guess that's when the referee was explaining to him, it's like, hey, you were in a really bad position that you weren't going to get out of. And for your safety, I had to stop the match. After the fight, we shook hands, we gave the bro hug. He still seemed a bit surprised about the referee's ruling. First of all, I was like, I can't believe I just won. I was like, cool, And then second of all, I was like, damn, I just beat a billionaire.
But a few weeks later, what Mark Zuckerberg says to the New York Times, and this is a quote from him, is, quote, that never happened, end quote.
Right.
And then a Meta spokesperson follows up, and they reiterate the quote, saying, at no point during the competition was Mark knocked unconscious. That never happened, end quote, repeating it all again. So did Mark Zuckerberg actually get choked out by Jeff?
According to Jeff, no, right? And I would say Jeff is I don't know, you do this business long enough and you get a sense of who is lying to you and who's not. And Jeff is not somebody who's going to lie.
He didn't get paid off in the interim is what you're suggesting.
Yeah, right. And like the way that he describes it seems quite credible. It matches up with everybody else's response, which is that he had him in deep trouble, but that Zuckerberg wasn't at the point where he was tapping or that he was in real danger, but that like there's also no hope for Zuckerberg.
What about the noises? Because there was this alleged snoring that happened, emanating from Mark Zuckerberg. What about the noises, the sounds Zuck was making?
Well, apparently it was just grunting, right? That kind of sounded like snoring. The ref said that that like Zuckerberg was snoring.
Yeah.
Did you hear any of that?
I'm too much in the zone in the moment that I didn't hear anything. I think that term snoring can be used very loosely amongst the public and maybe casual jiu-jitsu followers. He wasn't snoring like how you would snore in bed. Maybe he was making some weird sounds when I had the choke on him.
The forensics of this thing are truly bizarre to me. And I find this, I generally think that's true of all viral videos. But for this one, I'm just like, I don't know. It's hard for me to, as much as like there's a part of me that would like for this to be true, it's hard for me to see the evidence in the video. And then the second controversy is what happened after the fight. And there's a wide range of theories about it. There are stories that were printed.
Well, we got to summarize some of these stories because this is where I got into this, because after the fight, just to clarify this, part of the story is that the ref intervened to prevent further harm to Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. He was like, oh, I don't want you to get hurt more. You're in a bad position. And the real question around that is, would he have done that for anyone else?
Right.
Would he have intervened so early for anyone else?
Maybe because he's of his status, the referee was protecting him. I mean, you hear, I've seen other competitors in tournaments literally go to sleep from chokeholds. And the referee doesn't stop the person from putting that other person to sleep. This was a special case, I guess.
You put yourself in the position of this ref. This is like a tournament at a small high school with white belts who just started doing recreational jiu-jitsu.
Right, Jeff's kid is over there on a different mat.
4 months ago, yeah. It's
like
probably someone's...
Your dad just killed Mark Zuckerberg.
yeah. It's someone's dad, right? It's like even less populated than Little League Baseball because less people do it, you know? And so you have this guy who's probably somebody's father, and suddenly he's like, one of the world's richest men is coming on here. He might get hurt. He's probably got a lot of lawyers, right? And like, are you really going to sort of allow him to just get choked out? I would panic too.
Going to run the cost-benefit analysis. And I'm going to say probably not worth letting this play out. This has been Pablo Torre Finds Out, a Meadowlark Media production. And I'll talk to you next time.